everyone. By raise of hand, who doesn't know SPARQL at all? Okay. Thanks, Susanna. Yay! This is meant to be an introduction to SPARQL for absolute beginners, which is a title we totally stole to as a part of. Who did the same session yesterday, so maybe all the people interested in SPARQL did it yesterday. It was on purpose. Yeah, don't worry about that. And Susanna is gone? Oh no, you're here. Yeah, take some water. Maybe come closer, since it will be a session just for you. And remote people is watching. People watching us from the world. Thank you. That's good. It will be added to my collection of YouTube videos. We will wait a little bit longer because my computer is slow and because maybe some people will arrive. And I will introduce myself to start with. So I'm Nicolas VIGNERON. I'm from Brittany in France. I'm doing a lot of stuff on Wikidata since day one, more than 10 years ago. And I'm doing a lot of things around SPARQL. I used to do, but I'm not doing it anymore, a weekly session on Twitch about SPARQL in French, for French-speaking people, sometimes in English. So I'm not totally an expert in SPARQL, but I know how to teach it. And this is what I will try to do today with Waldir.
Hello everyone, I'm Waldir from Portugal. I'm less of an expert in SPARQL as Nicolas, but I hope that I can bring a bit of my beginner perspective. I've been learning over time, so I hope I haven't stepped too far from the first steps. And as Nicolas was saying, the goal here was to make an introductory presentation. If we see that, well, the presentation was prepared for doing that, but if people here are more interested in more advanced stuff, maybe we can do sort of a more interactive session and learn things together, experiment a bit, but we'll see. So the goal here with this session was first to do let's say a theoretical part and a practical part, but the practical one is going to be the major focus of the session. Is it still loading? Okay. Yeah. So just to show to mention the outline of the presentation that we prepared. It's not even a presentation. We don't have slides or anything, but we're just going to show the Wikidata interface and making sure that everyone is on the same page regarding the elements, like the statements and the elements of the statement, and then show the same thing in SPARQL, and then from there build up the knowledge of how to build SPARQL queries, not necessarily by heart, but with using the tools that the query service allows us. So we are just trying to load the if the laptop collaborates. Yeah, there's I think there's a link for the notes in the hackathon schedule page on the wiki. There's a link to the Etherpad for this session, so if you can please help take notes, and you can even leave questions there. We can take a look at and answer them during the session.
For people who are watching us
online, those watching remotely.
Or people in the future us.
Well,
there will be notes.
Yeah. Unless you find a way to draw back.
Tickets. Also, fabricator task, which is linked from the petals. All the links should be good to find back what you want to say. Any laptop mine should be working. I'm not sure. Yeah. the people online right now. I am looking at Telegram, so if you have specific question, Yana Inali, if you are looking, you can ask question. Or is it Wikidata who is broken? No. So many notifications. Jesus. So it's not just for you, Susanna, but since you are a really beginner, you know already a bit of Wikidata? Okay, we will do some quick review and we'll... actually, you are beginning.
Sure. Just search here. So in Wikidata, we can open any item. Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. So just to demonstrate, we are going to open the Singapore item, and as a refresher, or for those who still are not fully aware of this, basically the structure of an item in Wikidata is built around statements which have a property and a value, and each property can have more than one value, and each statement is in the structure of item, statement, value, item, property, value, sorry, which is kind of like a sentence in English. So I assume most of you know this. If there's any doubt, this is just a refresher, but if there's any doubt, let us know so we can explain this a bit better. But otherwise, I don't want to spend too much time on things that everybody is already familiar with. So this is what we are working with on the SPARQL query service. We are going to search for these sentences, these data snippets using SPARQL.
Actually, you have good analogy. On Wikidata, you have raw data, like the ingredient for a recipe. If you want to mix it together, to take, not just looking at what item, but all item for something, like asking a question. To make a cake, you need SPARQL.
Yeah, it's to steal from Asaf's presentation. Oh, cool, thanks. To steal from Asaf's presentation, which is something that he encouraged as being like Picasso. The analogy is like if you have on Wikipedia, you can have manually created sets of items, for example, categories, every person born in Paris, for example. But you may be interested in specific questions that have not been collected before. So, for example, everybody who was born in Paris but died in Singapore, for example. And Wikidata allows you to do those kinds of on-the-fly categories or grouping of data. So basically, it's taking all of the raw data on Wikidata, and you can figure out the specific items that match the question that you're trying to answer. Just one final thing here on the Wikidata interface. And sorry, I'm switching between Wikidata and Wikidata, but hopefully I won't anger anyone that way. Identifiers. So the last thing we wanted to point out here is that these identifiers at the bottom of the item, they are still statements like the other ones, but they are separate here. They basically point to different data sets. So this is part of what makes Wikidata part of the linked data world. But this is just a small note that we wanted to make in case you're not familiar with this interface. These are not separate kinds of statements. They are just put here all together because they help you navigate to other data sets. So now, now Nicolas is going to show how to get these sorts of information, but on the SPARQL interface, the query.
Wikidata query service.
Yes, exactly.
So, sorry, is it still working? Too little? Clear. Do you have a shortcut on who is gone already? Left order. Okay. So you have to go first to query.wikidata.org. That apparently Andrew is using a lot. Just for future references, there is over at the endpoint for Wikidata now. From time to time, I'm using the clever one, Q lever, clever. clever pun, which is made by a university in Germany, Freiburg or something, whatever, which is faster, but not in real time on all data. So if you have specific needs, sometimes you can test over one. I need to open bigger, yes. But it's more or less always the same principle. It's always the same language, SPARQL. So I'm showing it here. It could apply more or less the same in others. Anyway, give me the notes. Yeah. Yes, yeah, I already said if you have at any point, any question, we take the mic, you speak, you ask, just to be sure everybody. This is for beginners, so don't be shy to ask. So in the interface, you have Wikidata logo, of course, it's taking things from Wikidata, the name, Wikidata Query Service, okay. Then you have some interesting stuff. First, you have examples, when you can find example. If you don't know yet how to do it, you click it and it's already done for you. We will show it later. You have a help button, where is there a lot of help page. The useful one is example queries, which is the same as the example, but all on one page. So if you do Control F to look for something specific, like, oh, I know there's something to do this or that, like around time or around coordinates. I don't know how to do it, but I know it exists. You can look it, Control F, on this example queries.
We will show later that the SPARQL queries can have several elements, including comments, so human-readable comments, and sometimes the important data or the keywords that you're looking for are in the comments and not in the title of the query example. So in the examples, the interactive examples here, you can only search for titles, but in this page, you will be able to search for anything in the body of the query. So this might be helpful in that regard.
Yeah, just to show it, actually, you see all the examples are here after I went over, so it's useful. If you are an absolute beginner, and if you are a lazy beginner, what you can do is go on request a query, and you can ask someone else to do the query for you. This is a Wikidata page also. Open link in new tab. It's quite active. It may take a while, 1 or 2 days sometimes, but you just ask, oh, I have this problem or this question, or I have a query, but it doesn't work as I want. It's, oh, why are the results in duplicates? I want only one line. Oh, you forgot this or that. So you can interact with real human, and they can answer your question. So that can be very useful for beginners. And there's more tools. I will not talk about them. There's the query builder. I should talk about it, but I won't. Because the query builder is to help you build query. It's not bad, but it's very quickly limited. If you want to do something very specific, sometimes I think you are learning some limitations that are not in SPARQL, but only in the builders. So if you are a beginner, you can try it. It's quite intuitive, so I don't have to explain it. So that's also why I'm not explaining it. And I want to do funnier stuff. One important part is the interface. Right now we are in English, but if you want Armenian, for instance, Armenian. Why is that not Armenian? If you want maybe like that? Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Yes, okay, that's one. I will not. Yeah, you see the interface in your language. Let's go back to something I know, English. And that's, yes. On the side, there's a lot of fancy icons that are mostly not useful. So it's still there. I'm sorry, I have to tell it. You have an other query helper, an older one. You can switch to full screen if you want, yada, yada, yada. The important part is this one, to share a result. And this one, when you write a code, you can execute it. I'm doing it quickly to go to the important part. Don't laugh.
You're not supposed to be here anyway. um, yeah, let's do something fun. Let's do an example. Let's do the first example, which is cats. How many cats? What are the cats that Wikidata knows about? So you have a query already written for you. You don't have to know everything first. This is just the code. If you want to execute it, as I said, you need to push the button, or you can do a shortcut control.
Enter.
If you over it, it should be,
Yeah, it says there.
Control Enter. And it's the same thing. And you have the result. Here, for instance, we have 202 results, which are 202 cats that Wikidata knows about. Explaining syntax, is it? Yes. So, since it's for beginner, and since not all people know what is a query language that results work, I will break it down. Sorry for people who already know. Give me one. Yeah.
So you have different colors. You have, for instance, the first line is in gray. With everything in gray doesn't matter for the code itself. It's just common for humans. For instance, here you can say, oh, this is a query about cats. That lists cats. You write everything you want. This is just for you to remember what something does. If you want to write your name, oh, this is my query. I'm very proud of it. Put your name on it. It will be also useful for other people. Then you have some some words in red, which are what we call keywords, whatever. You will always find them in a SPARQL query. There's select, where. These two, line 2 and 3, will always be there. Select is actually what you want to select, what you want to display as a result. By default, the results are a table. So what you put in the select is actually the title of the column. In the table.
So you can see here item and item label are the titles of the columns that you get in the results.
That's it. So this is what you select, what you want to appear. And the where is where the magic happens, where you do the actual computation or precision or explaining what you want in a specific language. This one is a very simple one. Again, you have some gray part, must be a cat. This is not a code, this is a command to say, oh, this part must be a cat. And so actually you're starting with what we call a variable. A variable is what you are asking about, what is your question about. And small help, since you are asking a question, it's starting with a question mark. So question mark for what you are asking for. Then you have some, as we say, it's like a sentence. This thing as a verb, as an object. So this thing is a cat. There's strange number. Oh, Susanna, do you know what is P31? No, you don't know, but I don't know ever. If I put Waldir, yes. If you put your cursor on it, it will tell you what is this number. You don't have to know it. You just saw it, and then you just read. So this line says, oh, this must be a cat. This, as for nature, is an instance of whatever is the verb, is a cat. Is it okay? Mostly? Yeah, perfect. And there's some prefix you need to know. Before an item, you put WD, like Wikidata. And before a property, you put WDT, and the T rhyme with property. It has nothing to see with property inside, but it's rhyme with property. So WDT property. And that's it. You execute, you have a result. This is a very simple one. You can add as more condition as you want. For instance, if you go in the example.
Maybe let's just show well, again, this is for beginners, so let's just show the equivalence between this statement here and what you will get in the results. So basically, each item here will have a statement of that item is an instance of cat. So I opened one of them.
Yeah, just to be sure. Is it what we expected? So we open CC, and CC is a cat.
Yeah, instance of P31, house cat, Q146.
And
So that's exactly what we asked for here in the query.
Because without the query, if you want all the cats, you have to go page by page, finding cats or something like that. Nobody does that. You do a query, who does it for you? Maybe the example the same with images.
Do you want to talk about the last line first or afterwards?
So the line 7 is a magic line that does some magic. Nobody, I think even me, I don't know what is the name, how it works exactly. I don't care, it works. That's the important stuff. And you don't have to know it by heart. You can do it. You start typing service. You need to be above. And then you stop. You don't have to know everything. And you do control space.
It's it. Oh,
That's a Mac, so yeah.
Yeah.
And it's somewhere. I don't know why it's not on the first one because it's always the same we want, but it's somewhere
This
down.
one?
No, it's not this one. Ah, yes, you type too much. Go down.
Oops.
Go back a little bit.
Like that?
Yeah, maybe. Yes, the third one. And that's why I never remember it, because I never type it. I always control space, auto-completion, and I don't have problem anymore.
And this also demonstrates the auto-completion. So not only you have hover after something is already written, but you can also have help when creating new statements or asking new questions. So if you wanted to write this yourself, you would, well, where's the question mark? You could just write WT colon here, and then control space.
And you see that control space.
Yeah, and then you can actually type the words instance of, and it shows you which is the property number, and it replaces automatically. So you don't have to know it either when writing or when reading. But of course, having comments helps you not having to hover over the elements and reconstructing the human query that you're actually looking for. But all of these are helpers for making SPARQL a bit more human-friendly.
Exactly.
Oops.
No.
So you want to load the image?
Yeah.
Cats with image. Okay.
Let's go. The examples, the first one is the most simple, and the more you go, the more complicated they are. But at the beginning, they are still more or less simple. This one is exactly the same at the core, but you see that there's one line more there. So item WDT. I don't know what is P18, so I hover on it, and I see that it's image. I don't have to know it again. And one other difference is line 2, which is actually a comment. Oh, I can look here. Yeah, but I'm not able to point if I'm looking here. So default view image grid. As I say, SPARQL is always generating table as a result, but you can display the result on the table is only by default. If you want some overview, you can ask for it. You can ask for it. Did you run the query already?
Not yet. Yeah.
So run the query, please. If I ask explicitly for default view, grid of image grid, this is a grid of image by default. This is the behavior by default, but if I want to change, I can click, you were already there, and I can change to something else. Go back to the table. If I want to do a map, any kind of graph, you will see all the possibility here. Map, line chart, bar chart, scatter chart, area chart, bubble chart, tree map. Honestly, most of them you don't need, but they are here if you want them.
It depends on the types of results that you get in the query.
Yeah, click again. When you can select it, it's in black.
Yeah.
And when it's not available, it's in gray, because, for instance, here there's no coordinate at all, so it's not possible to do a map. So if you have the right data, you can select the right type.
So the right data is like, here you're asking for a picture, which is why you can show an image grid. But if you didn't have this one, I think it doesn't show the option to display the results as an image grid.
Exactly.
Just one final thing we forgot to mention is that this magic line, what it does is basically allow these automatic columns to be used. So as you see,
I-
the only question we asked is for the item, and then this one doesn't appear anywhere here. It's a magic column that is created by this line, basically. It's a way that
Yeah.
is easier to understand. So
Okay. Has anyone a computer and want to do SPARQL directly? Do you have a computer, Susanna? No. Because if you want to, you can try. You can try, for instance, a very basic example. But you can. Oh, that's. Thanks for the question. That's already a really good. So SQL was an older language, but it's end with QL, which is query language. So that's why SQL and SPARQL are distant cousin, but not that distant because they are both. And SPARQL is the same as SQL, but not for SQL table, for Wikidata table, which is semantic web and everything, but I won't enter in the detail. So.
there was one thing we forgot to mention also. Once you run the results, you can export them or share them using these links here on the header of the results.
Yes, that's the one.
So you can generate.
You can share the URL of the code, not run, not executed, just the code itself, or so URL to the query itself, or short URL to the result.
Which already shows the results automatically when anyone else opens this link.
So, for instance, if you do a query that does not work, but you want someone to help you, oh, I have this query, but oh, it's now 20 lines long and there's an error somewhere, and it's too late, I don't know, I'm lost, whatever. And you share the code not working, but you can share it to someone. On the other hand, if you are on what was Twitter, but it's not anymore, X in English, you can show the result because it's shiny and you want for people to see the result itself. They don't care about the code. And I see that people are doing even some application outside for even shinier results, but that's something else.
So just to demonstrate, this is just the results of the query. You don't see the actual code immediately, even though I believe you can edit it.
Yes, exactly. You can edit it visually or with SPARQL. It should open a new tab. Wait,
sorry, I didn't.
No,
The other option is if you want to download the results, you have several formats depending on what you want to use them for. So, for example, an HTML table or CSV file that you can load into, I don't know, Google Sheets or Excel or something like that, or LibreOffice Calc if you're.
Yeah, whatever. And actually, yeah. What?
Are we going to have this tool in Wikidata? Yes. Or is going to be replaced by another tool? I heard that maybe the foundation will replace this by another tool. Yes. And the second question, sorry, is there is a plugin ChatGPT for Wikidata? Because I know that GPT can generate this kind of query as well. So,
for the first question, no plan yet, I guess, but.
Yes, you should come to my talk, I think, on Thursday, about the future of the query service. But it will not go away. It's a really crucial part of Wikidata. And for the second part,
for the second part, ChatGPT or whatever you want, Llama or whatever model, are actually quite good at understanding the global structure. So if you ask a question, it will generate something, but the global structure is more or less good. It knows that there's a select, there's a where, there's a accolade, curly brackets there and there, things like that. But it totally hallucinates the queue number. You ask for London, and it gave you something for a cat, and you're like, no, not at all. So if you want to do that, either you correct it afterwards, or at the beginning in the prompt, you say, oh, by the way, London is Q144, something like that. And you still need, if you have very complicated query, it's not perfect. But it's surprisingly good. Yes?
maybe to add something, I'm working with people from the machine learning and research team to also train a special model that's very tailored to Wikidata query writing. And if someone here wants to help with that, let me know. We are looking for someone who can do some web coding.
Other question? Back to presentation. Oh, yeah. Jackie.
So if you were to display in graph, right, and then go down to,
Oh,
no,
sorry.
now this builder.
That's,
So
graph.
scroll down, keep going, graph, right there. So if you were to choose one of those options on the, so I want to show the tap down. So if you, you know what I'm, this one.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I know where you are going with that.
So,
Show the tap down, and then I want to have a shortened URL go directly to the tap down graphic view so that I could embed into my HTML page for that particular cat or for that particular what. Right now, it's impossible.
Yeah, that's very true. I think I've heard that from you already. Andrew is gone again. Whatever. Yeah, if you want to select the view, the type of view, you can put it in the code. If you want to say, oh, I want one of these options, and I think it's true for some other visualization, this is not possible because it's not stored in the code anywhere. Good? I think there's a ticket because, not sure. I know there's a ticket for maps because in maps you can have some parameters and some are in the code, some are not. And it's and I think it's also leaflet, JavaScript, documentation, missing thingy, whatever. Anyway, since we have people who are not beginners, we can show the code button here. I don't know if you know that, but it's a very useful. If you want to use this query in other programming tool, you have a lot of possibility, PHP, JavaScript, R, Ruby, 2 for Python, 1 for PyBig button over, yada, yada, yada. And you had a question? Okay, yeah.
Could I search for the cat's video or the sounds of the cats? And second question is the metadata enough for comments for this kind of query?
Good question. Can you do video instead of images? Do it. Do it. Do it. I have no idea what will be the result. But it's actually very simple because you remove the P18, video, control space, P10, that's the one.
sorry. Cool.
And you run it again.
Well, technically, it's recommended to always change this variable name so that you don't lose track of what this query is doing. But since we are just quickly experimenting.
And there's no result.
Yep.
And if you put dogs instead of cats? Is dog better? No, I don't think it will work.
But essentially, this is what he was saying earlier. This shows whatever Wikidata knows. So if Wikidata doesn't have any item with the property video and then a value.
Something on comments, but it's not populated.
Yeah, and it might be on comments, but not linked on Wikidata.
Yeah, yeah.
That's two step of the same
So
problem.
that's the second question, is whether you can query the structured data on comments using the Wikidata query service. And as far as I know, it's not, at least it's not immediately possible. And not sure if there are plans to do that. But yeah, it's a good idea that should probably be thought about at least.
There's 10 minutes left, so...
So what we were planning was, as I said in the beginning, we wanted this to be a more practical session, but I see that many people in the audience don't have laptops, so maybe we can do an interactive experimentation here.
Yep.
So what we had in mind here was to, well, since this was for beginning editors,
Beginners?
beginner, in SPARQL, we were going to start with a relatively simple query and then make some changes to make it more personalized. So this is, again, we are starting for an existing example so that we don't have to memorize all of these. And the goal here was to search for people born in your hometown. So what this query is showing is not any person, is specifically musicians, but we can make it point to any human. And then this is a bit more complex, we can explain, but let's first just run this query with the simpler syntax. Oh, this is instance of. Damn it. This is the born in, so you can hover and see the place of birth. This is Rotterdam, and this is the what I was saying, that you can make more complex queries, and we will explain what this does in a bit. But let's just run the simpler one. Did I change it? No. So again, this is the instance of human and place of birth Rotterdam. A simpler query. Let's just run it and see the results first. It sometimes takes a little longer.
That's a good time to say that it's try to run the query to calculate if it finds solution, and it will try for 1 minute. After 1 minute, 60 seconds, more or less, sometimes you have 62 seconds, it will stop. If there's too many results, if something is wrong, to not go in a loop forever, it stops. So here you have 12 seconds,
These are all the people who were born in Rotterdam. So what we want then is to find people born in whatever hometown we are. So since we are doing this together, let's say people born in Singapore.
Or Erevan, whatever you want.
Control Enter, and it replaces the human-friendly name with the actual item
Identifier.
number. And then, again, this is just to show that we can change any part of these statements to adapt existing queries to what we want to search for. Again, this is just a table of results. But then what we wanted to show is that this is a very straightforward query. So people whose place of birth is specifically Singapore. So if you open any one of these, you will see that the place of birth here is set to Singapore. But anything, any item that has place of birth place inside Singapore will not be found by this query. So that is why we had that more complex statement, which essentially allows us to say we
want something in Singapore or inside Singapore. So, for instance, it can be, it's not the case for Singapore, we tried yesterday, but it could be in a hospital in Singapore. I'm born in a hospital, which itself is in Singapore. And it's like the category on commons, you go deeper and deeper. And how you go deep on SPARQL is with a asterisk, if you want to type it.
Before the asterisk, we wanted to show just one level.
Yes, if you don't put an asterisk, you just do one level down. If you go all the level, so execute that, for instance.
So this is what we did here was a chain of properties. So what we are doing is equivalent to 2 of these lines. So we have an item whose place of birth property is set to another value, and that value has a that value is another item whose property located in administrative territorial entity is set to Singapore. So what this is going to tell us is items is going to give us items whose place of birth. Let's just search.
Yeah, that's here.
Oh, it's there? Okay, sorry.
It was here.
Yeah,
no,
that's
just it's
so
not Singapore, but
it's not exactly Singapore. But if you click here, then it will say located in territorial in the administrative territorial entity Singapore. So what Nicolas was saying is that if you want something,
here you have just 5 results.
Yeah.
Which means that if you forget about that part, you still, the query before was still mostly good. You just forgot 5 of them. That's sad if you were looking specifically for this one, but it's still good. And if you want all of them,
then you can, where's the, here. What this does is it repeats, the asterisk repeats this same,
property?
yeah,
Again
same
and again.
statement multiple times. So you can search for an hospital which is located in a district which is located in Singapore, or multiple levels of this. So once you execute this, then you will find everyone whose property birthplace is set to Singapore, or to any item which is inside Singapore in chains of located.
Basically, it's adding the 2 queries we did before. The first one just in Singapore, and the second one 1 level deep and 2 level deep, 3 level
any
deep.
level we want.
Any level deep.
So as you can see, the results here are
a bit more.
Yeah. So we have 1855 people born here. So now if you wanted to do this for your own hometown, you just come here and you replace it with whatever. So in my case, well, let's say Cape Verde. Not sure, it doesn't work like that. Oops. Does it?
No, you can still control space, whatever.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
works with space. Damn it.
Click it with.
Cool. So now you'll have from my hometown 392. So I have to add more items to Wikidata. So again, this is just a simple query. We can from existing examples, and you can like you have thousands, I think, of examples.
Actually, if you
Oh,
just
it does say the exact number. Well, hundreds.
yeah, 401 example.
It feels like thousands.
Yeah.
You can pick the one that's closest to what you are looking for and then edit it. And if you don't know how to do it, ChatGPT can help. Other people in the request a query page can help. In the chat rooms, so you can gradually, yeah. So
or for the next 3 days, you can ask us or other people. And it's time to finish. One last question, maybe.
I think we have until 12:15. We have 15.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
And anyways, me after, so I can stay. Do you
So we have
see-
questions. Oh, the questions are those that were asked already. So if anyone who's watching remotely or here in the audience wants, they can add additional questions on Etherpad. We are looking at that, and also on Telegram. But again, what we wanted to do was to have you experiment with queries like this, and maybe now we can take wishes from the audience.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. I'm sure you have a strange query that you don't know how to do. But do you know why? No. So maybe we can. Is it very complicated?
Sorry?
Yeah, because it's too big. I know the answer for that. You can. I think it's actually. We will maybe look after. Nick, you had.
Question. When it hits the 1 minute timeout, is there a way to get the results that it achieved so far?
No. No. What I do is what I mentioned at the beginning. I go to another endpoint like Clever, which is old data because it's based on a dump, which are every 2 weeks, I think. And some part of SPARQL are not understood by Clever. So like if you want the magic service, for instance, it doesn't know what it is, so the colon is empty. But you can do a very big query. I don't think that Clever has a timeout at all.
What is the maximum number of items that the query can display? Is there a maximum of timeout?
No.
No, not in the number. I think the maximum number as result is 15 billions, which is all the triples. But it's the complexity, exactly. For instance, you see this little star asterisk? If you use 1 in your query, it's okay. If you use 2, 3, it's going to be bad. And depending on where you put the star, for instance, if you go down to what is a church, what is a museum, or subclass of museum or church, this is very dense tree with very deep implication. So that's very complicated. Singapore worked because there, as we've seen in the second query, there's only 5 things under Singapore. It was easy. Church, Orthodox church, Catholic church, Protestant church, Protestant Lutheran Church, Protestant English Church, whatever. There's like a whole world of subclasses, and it will be too long. But I think if you do a query for everything in Wikidata and just count it to know how many triples there is, I think this query still works, and you technically go through all. So that's...
So for example, here we can add another one of these multiple level queries, which is very common. This is a very common pattern.
Yeah.
So we are looking for something that is an instance of something or of any subclass of that something. So let's say, well, musician could be. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Hmm?
Keep going.
Is that?
No, it's not making sense because it will not be instance of, it will be occupation for humans.
Is this? Oh yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Occupation.
I develop the ability to know if it will crash before it crashes.
Yeah, this is, again, if you know the basics of SPARQL, you can kind of compile it in your head, but...
kind of.
Yeah. But all of these helpers are here to help you not have to do that, basically. So
this one
here we are getting all the people who are musicians or subclasses of musician, in this case a singer. So let's see what is the actual occupation.
Oh, you could have opened Caesarea Evora.
Yeah, I could. Should I? Is it there?
You should.
Where is it? Okay.
Third one. The most famous one. And you see there was no order in the result.
Yeah, you can sort them afterwards, and you can tell in the query that you want a specific sort, but these are all things that you can add on to your understanding of SPARQL. But what we wanted to pass along in this session was a basic understanding of the syntax, so that then you can things can pile on top of that. So we don't want to go into a very too much detail. So if you see here her occupation,
just stop at instance. The query didn't work because I know that people have always instance of human.
Yeah.
If musician is not in instance of for human, it's in occupation. That's a little trick you learn the hard way first.
Yeah, sometimes for humans it doesn't work, but for other items you can search for instance of any subclass, which is this.
Yeah. Most of the time, actually. This is an exception.
Yeah. For humans, you have to search for occupation or something like that. So in this case, you can see that the occupation is singer, and then if you come to singer, you will have that it is a subclass of musician. In this case, it's just one level, but it could go multiple levels, which is why the asterisk may take a long time, because you're searching for all the possible paths going from point A to point B. In this case, point A being the item you're looking for, point B being the property or the value that you want that item to have, and you are not saying this specific like A and A to B directly. It can go from A to B by multiple hops, and you don't know how many hops, which is why you set the asterisk here. So this is telling the query to do a lot of searching in the whole Wikidata graph, and that's why it can take a long time and sometimes time out. So if your query is timing out, sometimes you have to try to make the query more specific, if you can, of course. And there are some other ways to optimize that people can help you if you ask in the channels.
I was going to cemetery.wiki. What do you want? Link between item and Wikipedia article? This is a specific things. You see, most of the time you will use the prefix WD and WDT, but sometimes there's more exotic prefix that you need to use. Yeah, first one, whatever you want. They're all good. First one. I think it's still... Okay, that was not a good idea. No, we'll stay on this one.
Still in this one? Okay.
Yeah, whatever. Forgot everything except line 8 and 9. And you see that here, you don't have WDT or WD. Use specific things with schema about, schema is part of. And then what this does is say, oh, there's something linked to the item, the page, which can be a Wikipedia or Wikisource page. And in the line 9, you say, oh, this is on this site. So it could be English Wikipedia or whatever. It can be the full URL like that, or you can say also any Wikisource or any Wikipedia. In schema, if you look for it, there's several different things to do. This is very often used to say, oh, I want all the items of Singapore with an article in French Wikipedia, but not on English Wikipedia, or vice versa, or whatever you want. Or all the article in, all the item in Armenia, but with not, no article on Armenian Wikipedia, for instance, or whatever you want. And sometimes there's, yes, you see that here there's a WDT, but then just afterwards there's Wikipedia site links, service program, RDFS label, schema description. Sometimes you have very strange stuff for very specific stuff, but you already are not a beginner anymore if you are using that. So, what time is it now? 10. We will not look at symmetry.wiki, but I think that Usmedin is doing this afternoon, 1 p.m. Is that it? So you can come back at 1 p.m. in this room? In this room, and he will show how you can use this result to do application on the web or things like that. So I'll leave it to Usmedin for afterward. Actually, it's you free doing it, no? Okay. Last question, maybe?
With the previous example,
Yeah.
musicians born in Rotterdam, is there autocomplete for the columns of the table, the results? Like how would
Yeah.
how would they most easily add date of birth?
I'm not sure.
Go back to the Amsterdam. You are on it.
You want musicians or?
If you are,
Yeah.
first thing, if you don't know what to put in select, for beginners, what you can do first is just putting an asterisk, a star. This is give me all the results that you see at some point in the query, which is bad because the label, item label we had, is not explicitly in the query. So for instance, this is only one column item, not item label. But if you have a very big query with a lot of things, you are sure to not miss one column. That's a trade-off, what you want to say. Very often, I start a query with a asterisk, and then when I refine it, I say, oh, this was just an intermediary variable for something. I don't need to show it to people. It was just for me.
So to make the analogy for SQL that was mentioned before, usually in SQL you have select and then the names of the columns of the table from the name of the table. Here you're not saying which table you want because you are searching the whole Wikidata graph. But this is, instead of asking for specific columns of the table of results that you get, you just say select everything from the table of results that you got. And in this case, the only column in the results is the item. As he was saying, it's the one that you explicitly requested. The other ones can be magically created if you specify them here.
No, you don't have to type it. If you just... You were
Make
a
the
bit,
question mark, yeah.
Yeah, but you need to remove a space before. But if you just type a question mark here, you see that, oh, I know that at some point there was item. So he knows about it, more or less.
Yeah.
Not
I was
item
saying
label, but...
yeah, exactly. The item label, you would have to add it manually. And even the description, which is something we forgot to mention.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but for description instead of label.
I'm not sure if the asterisk works if we add specific columns. We can try.
Try it, probably not.
Yeah, it doesn't,
No.
yeah.
And so to get the date of birth, you'd have to get the actual property for date of birth.
Yes, first. Otherwise, you need to talk about with Lydia about the magic things for another time. Exactly.
Can you repeat the question?
If you want alias, you do the same item, and instead of description of label, you put alias. If you want the preferred form for a catalog, for instance, I know what.
Not sure what you.
Question mark, item, alias.
Okay.
Or aliases, maybe? Try alias, just. I don't use it often, but I know
Yeah.
that librarians use like it. So here there's not alias, but that's what you wanted. No? Oh, he's not throwing an error. I think it was just alias.
Yeah, not sure. If this is
This is somewhere in the documentation. I can check and
Yeah.
tell you back if you want.
maybe none of these have aliases, but it's strange. Usually they do.
I know there was, something is wrong somewhere, but it's something along this way.
Yeah, none of these do.
No. Is there an expert in the room that know?
Yeah, again, nobody knows all of SPARQL by heart, which is why you have the autocomplete, you have the examples, you have... Actually, maybe the examples have aliases here.
Yes.
Maybe this is not the right... Yeah, this is not the right...
Oh, yes, it was right.
It is?
Yeah, it's not alias, it's alt label. As you...
Here, yeah, right.
Yeah. Yeah, little trick.
So...
And it's not properties, item?
Yeah, it's item.
Yeah, and
Here
you
they
see
are.
that some have a lot of aliases. So, for instance, if you are doing matching or reconciling or things like that, yeah, I know where you are going. It's very important to have aliases to make sure.
So
This is also known as.
the label, the description, and the aliases all are powered by this line. If you don't have this, yeah, it doesn't generate these. Well, actually, it does. What? Is this like automatically?
Did you relaunch?
I think I did.
And why is...
No, I didn't. I hadn't. Yeah. So as you can see, the item label and item alt label are not populated because we are lacking that magic.
That makes sense.
Yeah. We are out of time.
We are out of time, and I need to start the next one. So, thank you, everyone. If you have any more questions, you can later ask us.